This conference will now be recorded.
Everybody good to go? Get your mic.
Yep.
Okay, it is 6:02 on May 20th. We'll call the zoning board meeting to order. The first thing on the agenda is an agenda movement item.
Matt, talking to the mic.
Oh, I apologize. The first thing we would like to do, or I would like to propose, is we move the election of our chair and vice chair to the end of the meeting. So that way our normal full-time board members can be present and have the opportunity to vote. I don't know if anyone's, I guess that's a motion on my own.
I'll second that.
Made and seconded by
All right.
Sandy Plesner. Any discussion? Sound good? Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, passes unanimously. Okay, and now back to case ZB 24-16. Banville Road.
Matt, excuse me, Jim Cropsey here. I would like to recuse myself concerning zoning board matters ZB 24-16. And I would also like to recuse myself on ZB 25-3. And I'll also do ZB 25-4. And you can call me when those items are over for the vote.
Okay,
Very
we'll do
good.
that.
Thank you.
I believe, Juliet, you were appointed at the last meeting as an alternate. If you wouldn't mind coming and joining us.
Hi there.
Evening.
Good evening.
So we are technically in the deliberative stage is where we left this case. So we closed public comment, we'd moved to deliberation. But in the interest of having alternates who've sat, Mr. Cronin, if you wouldn't mind just giving like a brief catch up. I believe that was in the wheelhouse there. I'm not going to go back over the entire thing and just give you an opportunity to ask questions. The rest of the board to ask questions as time has gone on.
Sure. I have one question before we start, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
The alternates that I seat for the last meeting for the Wallace, Scott Hilliard was going to vent them to make sure that there was no conflict of interest. I just want to make sure that did happen and we are good to go. Just for the record.
I did my diligence, Mr. Chairman, and they are both free to sit. There was nothing that prohibits them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, just to summarize, we detailed in our packet in our application this particular proposal, which is somewhat two-phased. We have the commercial industrial manufacturing facility up front. Parcel in total is about 123 plus and a half acres. It's been sitting on the market for an extended period of time. One of the reasons, or one of the many reasons why we believe that is the case, is its lack of visibility and its access point to the main corridor, which if it was right on the main corridor where you see the outlet mall and other things, certainly this wouldn't be sitting for so long. But it's not something that's prime for retail or really commercial in that site. Mr. Tremblay here, who's with us, has a business enterprise that makes building products and things that they can make use of a portion of that land, but not all of it. When they were doing their engineering and feasibility and due diligence, it's a rather large site. You know, it has some history with the asbestos fills that are there. There was some concern mentioned about that in previous hearings. A lot of research and expertise has been looked at that. We talk with environmental consultants. That is all capped, covered, and secured the way it's required to by law. This 240 unit apartment facility down along the river with frontage on the river, that's been designed initially when it came to you in a certain configuration. Chris Rice, who's with us, made some amendments and changes to that to provide different spacing and things that were also raised in that process. It's believed that due to its location down by the river, apartments of that type and kind could access well. In preliminary discussions with DOT and traffic engineers looking at it, that would be a place that would be great for much needed housing, as it provides easy and quick access out to the main corridor, both to the highways, to the retail sectors, and that expanding corridor heading up to Lake Winnisquam. certainly with all the activity that's going on in that corridor, and including the Lake Estate and so forth, there'll certainly be more demand for housing that's scarce, particularly new housing and quality housing of that type and kind. We addressed the 5 criteria. The only thing I would supplement for you on the substantial justice piece and the public interest and the spirit of the ordinance components. Since we first came here, many of you may be aware that there's been a lot of robust activity in the legislature regarding development, particularly housing, and the difficulties in time and cost to get projects approved. There's a bill, House Bill 631, that was introduced that would override local zoning and allow multifamily housing to be built on a parcel, either commercial or industrial zoned. And that's something that, my understanding, it came out of the House, it passed and went to the Commerce Committee in the Senate, came out of committee with the ought to pass recommendation on a 4-1 vote. And my understanding, the Senate has approved that. If that becomes law, certainly it will be clear that that meets all of the 5 criteria, because the legislature, who delegates zoning power to communities, has recognized the great need for housing of this type and kind. So it's not law yet. I know things can change in the sausage making process, but as far as the path that it's taken so far, it's been all positive. And I think it underscores and highlights all of the arguments that we've made to date in this particular case. We ask that, based on everything that we've submitted to you previously, the additional information that we've provided tonight, that you look favorably on this application, so Mr. Tremblay and his team can start to make productive use of that property, generate some tax revenue, and provide much needed housing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions for him?
I have just one. I reading over everything.
Sandy, you need to talk into the mic,
Sorry.
please.
Reading over everything. I have absolutely no problems with what I read. The only thing that I came up with is that particular piece of land is kind of like landlocked, if you will. And I know it's not really, but you have one access on and off the highway for that whole piece of property. Have you looked at, in regard to how much you're putting on that site with the number of homes, with the homes that are already there? I mean, it's always been an issue with getting in and out of that area anyway. I do understand that there's another plan that will be coming before the board that would be located across the road, and he has done a road, a DOT, gone through the DOT and gotten his results. I didn't know, is this something that you guys are going to work on, that intersection? I mean, that's a lot more cars. In my estimate, probably, I don't know, if you get 240 units, at least 2 cars per unit for housing, and then whatever you're going to have total workforce in the different industrials.
That's a great question, and you're absolutely correct. That access that goes in is not ideal. I think that goes to the unique feature of this particular property, supports the hardship prong. Mr. Rice and his team at TF Moran, they've been in discussions with DOT. It's expected that there will be some offsite improvements that will be required to improve that access. I'll also note that in comparison to a tense commercial development on the 123 acres.
Yep.
You kind of have the best of both worlds in this particular proposal. You have the industrial use, which there will be some trucks delivering things and taking them out, but systematic with transportation folks that try and avoid the peak hour of traffic. And there'll be a number of workers there, but not highly concentrated. With respect to apartments, when you're looking at it in terms of traffic, the traffic engineers are typically focused on peak hour, the 7 to 9 in the morning and the 4 to 6 in the evening. The good thing about housing is the traffic trips are dispersed across the day. They're not all concentrated between 7 and 9 and 4 and 6. And many times you will find, even if a property is at full capacity, it's usually 90%, 93% to allow for vacancy and transitions. A lot of those people may be in other locations. You know, they have an apartment up here, but they work in Manchester. They stay at a significant others. They do different things.
Mhm.
So it's kind of the best of both worlds. But that process is usually a function of the planning board. Here we're asking to allow the use. When the planning board looks at, they'll require us to have a traffic study, as will DOT. And we can't put any traffic on that road until DOT says it's okay.
Well, I understand that, but as a zoning board, considering what you're looking for, I have to consider what is that going to do to the area in general, as far as what's already there, plus what you're looking to bring into the area, which that in itself, I can appreciate the land is there and you want to put something on it. The other thing I have is when you come into the site off of Route 3, are you going to the right and then entering the property, or are you going to go around Manville Road? I mean, it looks like you're going to have your main entrance up at the front of the property off of Route 3. Now, will that entrance be for everything? Or are you going to have another entrance down?
I think that's still under consideration and will be discussed with the planning board. I can have Chris come up and supplement that a little bit. I know he's looked at various locations and ways to access the property in the most feasible way.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, Chris Rice from TF Moran. Yes, we've already had a scoping meeting with DOT. We've prepared a traffic report or
Yep.
traffic analysis, and it does show that offsite improvements are required for the full build out of the site, which included a traffic signal at that intersection of Manville Road and Route 3, as well as turn lanes coming from both directions from Route 3 onto Manville Road.
Right.
And so you'd have, queuing lengths and such based on the traffic study so that it's not impeding traffic. And I think the traffic signal would improve the businesses and residents that are currently on Manville Road, because I know it's a difficult intersection to get out of. The access into this parcel, as you go down Manville Road, you cross the railroad tracks, bang a left. As you go a ways down, that's where the main entrance is into this site right now proposed. There's a small wetland area off to the side that we're avoiding, but we're getting it kind of down as far that direction as we can.
Now, have you been in talks at all with the town as far as it's John Manville Road? I mean, it doesn't look like a road that's really in that great a shape.
No, we haven't gotten to that step yet. We're hoping to we just had the preliminary discussions. We wanted to get through the ZBA process to
Okay.
Just so we didn't waste everybody's time, because if the housing component's not approved, that obviously changes the results of the traffic study. So,
Obviously. I know I just primarily wanted to touch on these. This would have been my biggest concern when I looked at it, is just if this stuff had been looked at, extensively as far as the area. And I mean, in my mind, it is so much wetlands and there's no other access in and out of that property from Route 3. So thank you.
Chris, I'm looking at the map here and it looks like you do just one entrance going into the property for the apartments and for industrial.
correct.
Any more questions for him?
I'm all set.
Good. Andy, you're good?
Yep, I am.
Steve, good? All right.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Okay, any thoughts?
Do we know?
Mr. Chair, are you not going to open it to public comment? I'm getting questioned here.
Well, what are our feelings? I'll open this up
Yeah.
as a board. It's kind of been,
We have new information.
we have new
so,
information. Yeah. I'm on board with that.
Yep.
Everybody good? Sure. We'll reopen it for public comment. You just got to get up and say who you are and where you're from into the mic there. Sorry.
So I'm Lisa Nee. I'm live off of Andrews Road, which is off of Manville, and that's our neighborhood's main concern. There's maybe 70 homes back there with families, and we struggle getting out every day. The road's a mess. The Manville Route 3 intersection cannot be maintained. You guys, it's been filled and it's completely falling apart and deteriorating. We already get stuck behind 3M trucks every single day. If you're going to add, let's just say 2 cars, that's 480 cars we're going to be in traffic every minute of every day on that road. And then not only that, the next one, zoning board 2503, you're going to add 120 units. There's no way we're going to be able to get out of Manville Road safely. So
Thank you.
I just wanted to add that our neighborhood is going to sort of fight this all the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other public comment?
Mr. Chairman, if I can just, our land use coordinator, Pat Constantino, and I did participate. Chris Rice was talking about a scoping meeting that DOT had, and I thought Sandy's questions were very good. And I'm sure the neighbors are concerned, but this has been our concern, and as your town administrator, part of my concern. And the scoping meeting was very clear. So I'm pretty comfortable that that stage is going to, the next stage of this, when it gets to planning, is going to be developing that as well.
Addressing
So,
the traffic.
absolutely. Yep.
Thank you.
Just wanted to share that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right. Good if we close it again?
We're good. Anything
Be
online?
online. Yeah. Mike.
Mike, do you want to have anything to say? Single you right out because you're the only name on the list. Oh, and Liz. Any public comment online? Okay. We'll close public comment and move back to deliberations. I just, because we're on the topic of traffic, I wholeheartedly understand. I think that, I mean, one of the things is no matter what developed on this piece of property, whether it was commercial or any development, was going to force the hand of mitigating the Manville Road Route 3 intersection.
Yes.
So yes, I agree with Sandy. We got to ask that question. But at the same token, planning's going to say like, no, this
Well,
is.
the state determines safety as well, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I think that's, if it becomes an unsafe intersection, the state will step in and regulate it and make it a safe intersection.
And they're going to dictate what it needs to be a safe intersection.
Correct.
My understanding is.
So what I'm hearing is, right now, if the project moves forward, it's going to make the exit and entrance into Manville Road safer than it is now.
Controlled, potentially
Controlled.
controlled.
Yeah.
Well, controlled intersection.
Controlled,
Hopefully.
Yep.
Hopefully.
We would hope.
It isn't now.
Can we move on from that? I have a question that's different, but
Yeah, I
I'll
just
go
wanted
to
to say that while I was thinking.
Yep.
Sorry.
do we know when House Bill 631 will be completed or voted on, or do we know when we'll have an answer to that? Does anybody know? Yeah, you might know.
Probably by.
I'm sorry. We got a legislator right at the table. I forgot, Julianne. I'm sorry.
No, that's great. If you know it.
I'm understanding it's waiting for the governor's signature. That's what I was told. So
Probably the next month or so.
In the next month. What's the longest you think that could take?
I mean, by August, September, if she doesn't like the bill. But if she does like the bill, it'll be earlier. So.
Okay. Because what I'm thinking is, if this bill passes, this case is, I mean, they could build what they are here for.
Mhm. Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So I'm curious if anybody else would be interested in waiting a month if she likes the bill. If the governor likes the bill and she votes for it or signs it, then we don't have to make a decision.
I personally think we're here to make a decision, and I think
Yes.
it's gone on long enough.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I agree with your sentiment personally.
Yeah.
Like, I like that. That's nice
Yeah.
and clean, and it makes it easier for me.
It makes it easy for all of us to
Yeah.
put the blame on Concord.
Yeah. I guess I personally might feel differently if it was like she will or will not sign on June 15th.
If we had a date.
If it
Yeah,
was a date,
get
I
it.
guess I would buy into them. I don't know how the rest of the board feels. I just,
Could be that June 15th comes and she's still not done anything.
that was my point, is that it
Yeah.
hasn't come across and gotten buttoned up yet. And just in the
Well,
interest of
yeah.
applicants.
At this
Okay.
and
Yeah.
at this point, I'm
But-
sure Wallace would like to
Yes.
have it, a
It
definitive
is our
answer.
responsibility. It was brought to us. We should make a decision and not pass it on.
True, it is a unique situation though, where
It might be
We-
absolved
we
very shortly.
potentially
Mhm.
could be a month away from not having to make a decision. But yeah, I get it.
Any other thoughts? No?
No.
I have thought about this case a lot. It has consumed an unbelievable amount of my brain since last January, September. The House bill, and it shouldn't be, it's not the thing, but it speaks even more to me about the need for this in our state. We heard a case recently talking about how, I can't remember the exact numbers. It was like 2 or 3 jobs for every housing unit in the town. Like, it was our town and another town were hugely underserved for housing when compared to the number of jobs in the town. And then when you apply it to this particular site, I find myself falling back on, this site was slated for large scale development. It was there for that. I think that developing housing along the river is, I can't even think of a better thing than having people living along a river than the backside of commercial stores. Personally think that housing along a river is a better use for a piece of land than the backside of a Target. So when I take this particular piece of land and what they're asking for, and we'll go through the criteria again, but I still find myself thinking that this is an appropriate use of the land, given all of the context. But this has been a hard one.
And if I could add to that, to where the property is located, you're never going to know the housing is there. The Manville Road will know the housing is there, but DOT hopefully, and everyone's going to improve that intersection. But you're not going to be driving down Laconia Road looking at 240 apartment units on your way to Laconia or Tilton or wherever. They're going to be way off. You're not even going to know they're there. So I think it's a good use. It's on the river.
Big piece of land.
Yeah. That could be developed for commercial, for retail. A big box store or whatever could go in there.
A lot more than a big box store.
Yeah.
All right, any other thoughts? I don't want to.
Yeah, just sticking to the application, I feel that while this property does have hardship, I feel that the hardship has already been addressed. And there was no industrial allowed there at the beginning. It was strictly commercial, and I understand there's no Route 3 frontage. It's hard to get to the property and all that. I think by allowing light industrial, it has relieved the hardship of the property.
Thank you. Did you see my? Yeah. This. Oh, okay. Sorry. It's right there. I think they go through. Any other thoughts? No? Do you guys want to move through the 5 criteria?
Sure.
Yep.
Fine.
Yeah, I had to do the same thing.
They didn't give me one.
I can share with you here.
Okay.
All right, number 1. Granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest. Anyone care to speak on it?
Yeah, I don't think it would be contrary. I think the town is clearly calling for housing.
I agree. And coupled with the fact that this isn't a piece of property that is going to necessarily stay undeveloped. The traffic concerns, I totally get it.
Mhm.
But it's not that this is like conservation land that we're taking out of conservation. This is a piece of land that was designed to be developed and to be developed heavily. So no matter what goes in here, if a gigantic shopping mall comes in tomorrow, there's going to be a traffic problem that has to get mitigated. And the traffic is certainly something that has to get addressed. But I don't think that the variance causes any more traffic issues than what the land is already zoned for. So I agree with you on the public interest, I guess that's where I was going with that. Any other thoughts?
Oh, how are you justifying the housing? The property isn't zoned for housing.
Well, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And that's
What do you
my,
mean justifying it?
I am agreeing that the granting this variance for housing
Okay.
is not contrary to the public interest
Okay.
because traffic being one of the big concerns,
Yep,
the zoned use, the allowed use of the zone would generate quite a bit of traffic.
okay,
And I don't
Yep.
believe that housing generates a significant amount more traffic,
yep,
Then a wa-
interfering with public interest in that
Yeah.
aspect.
okay.
You're saying the need for housing is greater than the diminishing qualities of increased traffic.
Coupled with the fact that what the property is allowed to be used for would also generate traffic.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, now I understand. I just
No,
wasn't
please,
quite
please.
sure.
I absolutely, I am. Please. Granting the variant, if the variance are granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed. Anyone want to speak?
Well, yeah, I think this could be even a discussion of what is the spirit of the ordinance. So why does the zoning ordinance say no housing there?
Sandy could probably speak a little better to that.
It was designed, they changed the zoning. Originally, it was industrial. And after the Nickerson Park went in, there was no one interested in industrial on that side of the road.
Switch to commercial.
So when the zoning was updated and changed, they decided because the regional commercial came down that far, almost that far, that there was a big piece of land that it should become regional commercial for larger tracts.
Okay, that explains how it became commercial, but it doesn't explain why
Because-
housing was excluded from there.
The whole regional commercial district does not permit housing.
Right, but why?
Primarily because it is a huge business. It was designed for bigger stores and parking lots and things like that. And, the housing just didn't fit in there. Plus the fact that Tilton already has several housing or residential areas, zones. They have, all over the town.
So would the spirit of the ordinance not be observed?
I'm not going to say it wouldn't be observed. I mean, we're in times now to where there is a definite need for housing in our state. I read one report to where a lot of commercial business that wants to come in have turned us down because there's no housing for,
Correct, but I think both can be true at the same time.
yes.
Where the spirit of the ordinance is not observed, but there's still a need for housing.
That I think is the reason, the whole reason behind variances is because sometimes towns are zoned one way, but things come up and change. Like at one time, we had more than enough housing here. We weren't really encouraging more housing developments. We were going after just single builds and stuff to keep the number of houses because we didn't want a bunch of empty houses sitting around. We didn't have people moving in here. But obviously that has changed. So now we've got our commercial base set up, but now we need more housing desperately because how many people work in our area stores? They can't find housing here. They live further away than what they would like to.
Okay, sorry, last thing of clarity.
Yeah.
Do you feel the spirit of the ordinance is observed and we need housing? Or do you feel the spirit of the ordinance is not observed and we need housing there?
Well, I know it's, right now it's zoned for no housing, and the variance is before us to allow housing there. Whether I feel that the spirit of the ordinance, when it was originally written, then I would say yes, it was against the spirit of the ordinance. But times have changed and conditions have changed. And I think it's about time that there's an update on the zoning. It's been quite a while, to more structure it around what's going on in today's world. Because this was, 15, 18 years ago?
2000, yeah, what was
Whatever it was.
North of 20.
Yeah.
I believe the spirit of the ordinance is met, and my interpretation of the spirit of the ordinance is that they were trying to consolidate large developments
Yeah.
along the Route 3 corridor.
Yeah.
In 20 years ago, the intent was that commercial stores were developing in big ways, and that's not the lay. That's not the lay of the world these days. And so I see this as my interpretation is the spirit is still met because this is still concentrating our development along the Route 3
Right.
corridor. But the reason the variances exist is,
Oh, sorry. No, continue.
is to allow for and mitigate as times change and zoning boards.
Okay, so-
Zoning ordinances don't keep up with the times.
You're saying the spirit of the ordinance is commercial growth on Route 3, and this doesn't affect that because it's off
Correct.
the Route 3 corridor. Okay.
Right.
That's my interpretation.
Okay.
You know, how I'm new here, but the way I see it is, you know, they develop the zones in broad strokes. And,
Yep.
you know, if I were, you know, design the zones back then, and I thought, well, would I be opposed to housing, a large block of housing like this in the commercial, you know, in this zone? I don't think it would be a problem for them to, if they knew that this was going in when they designed it. It was just sort of, this is their basic idea. We're going to put, you know, industrial here and commercial here and residential here. And that's just going to be that's where we're starting off. And this is our ideal, but it doesn't mean that you can't, you know, think outside of that box.
Right. Well, also you have to understand that 20 years ago when this was being done, we had a lot of residential land available for residential growth. And so we were encouraging the growth to go into these residential areas for development, for homes. But we were running out of commercial space, and we wanted to continue it on down around all the other commercial growth to keep all of our heavy commercial growth in one area of the town, which works out very well because the neighborhoods are not mixed in with that at all. So, you know, it's just strictly, I mean, like I can go from here anywhere I want to go, but exit 20 doesn't affect me, you know, as far as residential. And so it seemed to work out very well. It's just that over time now that has changed. We have our commercial and now our residential is being used up. You know, it was like even the builders stopped building neighborhoods. And now it's like there's suddenly we've got a short supply. So the times have changed to what the needs are for the whole state. So I think zoning in itself, although, you know, I mean, I didn't enjoy necessarily doing it, but it needs to be updated, you know, a lot quicker than what has been done. And 20 years makes a big difference in the everything.
Mhm.
I mean, we've got shopping centers now closing down because everybody does everything online. So other kinds of businesses are trying to get established. So there's a lot of things that have changed. So something like this is really, this is today's time.
One of the things I thought of, kind of speaking on the spirit of the ordinance, is if this lot had been not a single 100-acre piece, hypothetically, let's say it was split in two, what would the zoning have looked like? It probably wouldn't have been commercial all across. It probably would have been commercial on the Route 3 side, and then who knows what else on the back river side. So I think that, I guess, kind of speaking to Juliet's point, is that it just got caught in a broad stroke, like, all right, here's another parcel, we'll lump it in. And
Right.
it's not really appropriate for commercial development.
Yeah. I agree with
But
that.
got lumped.
Yeah, so the 3M is right next to that, which is industrial, obviously. And then residential is
Yep.
on the
On the
other
other
side of 3M.
Correct.
Yep.
Yeah.
Are we comfortable moving on from that, everybody? Okay, number 4. Granting the, we're on number 3. Granting the variance would do substantial justice.
Yeah.
I agree. These ones often
Mhm.
overlap. Anything specific anyone wants to bring up to it?
Yeah.
Number 4, if the variance were granted, the values of the surrounding property would be diminished. This is actually, the only thing we have submitted as evidence on this one is a letter from a consultant from the applicant saying that they don't see any anticipated reduction in property values, and we don't have any hard evidence to the contrary to that.
Yeah.
So then number 5, sorry, his application's different from the written order. Unnecessary hardship owing to a special condition of the property that distinguishes from other properties in the area. Denial of variance would result in an unnecessary hardship. because no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provision and the specific application of that provision, and the appropriate use is a reasonable one. Or if those criteria aren't established, an unnecessary hardship will be deemed to exist if and only if, owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from other properties in the area, the property cannot be reasonably used in strict conformance with the ordinance, and a variance is therefore necessary to enable a reasonable use of it. Any thoughts? I don't like always being the first one to speak, so I'm giving chances.
Yeah, go for it.
Talked
about hardship.
Yeah, we've kind of, I'm just kind of saying the same thing I've said in the past. I guess it is what it is. This is an incredibly large piece of property. It is going to require substantial development in order to make it a usable piece of property. It does not have road frontage on Route 3. Couple that with the back front of the river, I think that the applicant's proposed use is reasonable, and strictly enforcing it does not allow it to reasonably be used in today's day and age.
Yep.
Agree.
Yeah.
No other comments? Any motions?
I'll make a motion to approve ZBA 24-16 to grant a variance to allow 240 unit apartment community in the RG zone.
All right, motion's been made. Any seconds? Made and seconded. Motion made by Brian and seconded by Juliet. Any other discussion?
Roll call.
Pat, would you do a roll call vote?
Sandy,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Steve,
No.
Juliet.
All right, ZB 24-16 passes 4-1. Thank you for coming in. Next case is 24-17, Haven Grove. I think I have to formally appoint alternates, or are they already appointed for the meeting?
You have to ask, did he recuse himself?
He did recuse himself.
He did?
Yep.
Okay. You have to appoint.
Okay. Well, seeing that you guys are already sitting here at the table, do you feel prepared to sit on this case?
Prepared just as much as us, right? Because it's
Yeah, I guess it's brand new.
It's all brand new.
It's all brand new. That's true. Yes. Sure. Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we'll take 5 minutes.
This is there.
Yeah.
Audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just turn it on when I.
I am.
No, I'm thinking. Camera pains.
Wow. Yeah. Now I know you know how to do this. You remember how to get back. All tab. Don't forget. Yes, I think I can. Don't go to the spot. No, all right.
Not sure. Makes.
Yeah. Cool. Wait, can we?
Oh, great. Thank you. There was a consultant that wrote a report.
right. That I asked the same thing. We already approved.
So he's tied. The letter. Hold on, give me a hot second to dig through here. I know it's in there. I read it today.
I did have to correct one thing for
Oh,
you.
boy, what did I
You
do?
The little push pin thing.
Oh, yeah, I skipped that.
Yeah, you skipped that. That's
And so,
okay.
and what happens if I do that?
Oh, no, you're good. I think
No, but
you're.
what was the difference when you
Oh,
pushed
it
the
just,
pin?
it won't make it as large.
Okay, and so I should be able to
You're all
just
set.
page up
Yeah.
and page down, right?
Yep.
I get it.
Maybe when you get started.
Yeah.
You're not in trouble. Oh, no. No, it's.
Everyone's going back, Matt.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, geez. So that's taken up right. Right. Bad idea. Strike one. That's why it's a guess.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, I know, but you didn't build anything. Oh, yeah. You mean like at my box?
No, no.
Cheap. Yeah, I'll say.
What's up?
Nice, they don't know what time it is. We're watching. They just get a feeling. They don't look at them. They wear them, they don't look at them. Come on, you gotta.
All right, Tim, I'm going to try this. Oh, no, I'm not. Huh. Okay. You know,
So they're gonna have to separate. Right. It'll be during the planning. Right. We don't know what about that is.
no, but we're never going to traffic study.
We don't even need to go there.
Okay. No. I didn't have any anchors. I like that stuff. I don't even know what if they ask me why.
I will.
I'm just going to do the presentation.
And, you know, your presentation is really, is that what you want to look like?
I do.
Those are good looking units.
That's what I thought. Yeah. It's for illustration purpose only, but I would like them to look like that. I'd like to have something I can do.
Those will cost a little bit more.
Yeah, you get a little more trim and stuff, but not terrible.
Where?
Right, it's a box. But I like the roof lines and stuff.
Oh,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah, yeah. I like the fact that doors are on the opposite.
We tried it. Right, so you're away from your neighbors. You're not like going, hey, how you doing, Joe? Okay, fam. And you get an economy of scale. You don't have that stereo. So you have one wall, and then a wall for everybody. So you don't have the outside side. You don't need lights. It helps. It helps the economy of scale. The more you build it, the more you have.
No, there's no windows there.
I'm surprised Jim.
Yep. We know this.
Right. What happened?
That's not true.
What's that sweater? What's that?
Oh.
Good to go?
Good to go.
All set. Thank you.
We're live and the mic is good? Okay.
Okay, we will continue with case 24-17. Is that correct?
Yeah, take care, man.
Nope, 25-03.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening.
Evening. Good evening, Chairman Gilman and members of the zoning board. My name is John Bernard, and I'm here to speak to you tonight regarding the possible development of 246 Laconia Road. I stand before you tonight seeking your support for this project, and I will highlight several key issues and reasons why I believe this deserves your approval. The first thing I'd like to point out is our housing crisis. As you know, you've all heard about it on the news. It happens almost nightly. They're saying the lack of housing that we have, and that includes the entire state and Tilton. This development of 60 duplexes, creating 120 units, will represent an immediate and substantial solution to that problem. Expanding housing options for young people, seniors, professionals, nurses, and first responders, teachers, and providing a stepping stone between apartments and single-family life. Thirdly, creating a housing that is more attainable than the average single home now that costs between $500,000 and $600,000 in New Hampshire. On this project, we're dedicating 20% of the development to workforce housing. This project just doesn't address our housing crisis. It specifically targets our most pressing needs while supporting those who support us. Workforce housing is essential to our community. These are the people who make and function the day-to-day, and yet increasingly are priced out of the living community that they serve. The reality is our community cannot grow without addressing this fundamental need. I want to turn your attention to the screen, and I want to look at the RSA 672, in which states the opportunity for development of such housing shall not be prohibited or unreasonably discouraged by the use of municipal planning, zoning powers, or unreasonable interpretation of such powers. Basically, this addresses workforce housing. We can do this all without any expenses to the municipality or to the town funded infrastructure. We're planning to do this all privately. The storage that we have done, we have gotten 4 out of the 6 approvals. The last one we're waiting for that is a big hurdle is the railroad. Once we have that, we know we'll have the storage to the property. The next we'll tackle the water. We have electric and we also have natural gas. What's the benefit for the town? It just isn't about housing. It's about the Tilton's financial future. This development will generate substantial new property revenue, create construction jobs immediately, and maintain maintenance positions for long terms. These being private roads, we'll have to have folks that will clean the roads and maintain the roads. The other thing that I think that really is important about the workforce housing is all the new positions that have opened. The hotel is seeking people right now. The veteran homes has 100 empty beds because of it doesn't have enough employees. And construction companies are paying out the roof to try to get some people on board. Then the last question we really have to ask ourselves, why 246 Laconia Road? We've walked this property. It sits on an established transportation corridor. It's conveniently located near shops, dining, and service, and it makes efficient use of a land already designed for development. This land also provides an appropriate transition between the commercial and residential. It abuts industrial, a golf course, and Home Depot. This isn't a development just for development's sake. This is a strategic growth in the exact right location. And again, I'll state that again. This property is perfectly located for this type of development. 246 Laconia Road has everything we need to make it work. The last question isn't whether Tilton will grow, it's how it will grow. And I say today, by voting yes on this, it allows it to grow with housing, which we're in desperate need of. By approving this development, you would not be making an exception to the town planning. You would be fulfilling the town's master plan. A Tilton Master Plan, Part N, states, in order to develop housing for all income ranges, density incentives for affordable housing should be incorporated into the town zoning. And that's what we're asking you today, is to incorporate a stronger density so we can make this work. That's really what I have. Thank you for your time. Steve Nix will give you the legal part of this, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Okay.
My name's Stephen Nix. I'm representing John Bernard and Haven Grove. Thank you very much, John. Great job.
Thank you.
Great job. John's wife's name is Michelle. She actually put the slides together. I had to ask that question, but they did a great job in explaining what's going on and giving you a feel for the property. I submitted a memorandum with the application that went over the 5 legal criteria. I will attempt not to read that verbatim because it is in the file, and I'm going to assume that all the ZBA members have read that or scanned it and is familiar with it. We're asking for a variance. Well, let me back up for a second. The last application and this application are similar, but they're different. One of the differences is the zone. We're in the resort commercial zone. And the resort commercial zone does allow for residential use, but it's limited to single family residences. What we're asking for are duplexes. So that's one of the differences. The similarities are the general location of the properties. We're right across the street from the exit that you were talking about during the last application. And I'll say up front that John's property, John is in the same boat, so to speak, as the last application regarding the access onto Route 3. The accesses are almost opposite each other. There has been some discussion regarding access, but because of the unknowns on the approvals from this board, and that conversation hasn't gone too far, but John understands that he will be in those conversations and part of that because everything sort of feeds in at the same place. We're asking for a variance to allow 120 units in 60 duplex houses, 20% which will be workforce housing in the resort commercial zone. The existing conditions, there is a tax map which I included. The property, as I said, is in the resort commercial zone. It's a 49.78 acres, we'll just call it 50 acres, with 404 feet of frontage. It's currently approved and developed with outdoor boat storage and storage buildings. So this will be a mixed use. The storage buildings are being constructed. I don't know what the time period is, but it's happening right now. They'll be showing up. They'll be right on the highway. So these units will be set back off the road with an entrance road that comes in and then goes up the hill to where the units are. There is a U-shaped road, and John, I don't know if there's a U-shaped road down here with an easement through the abutting property. Entrance only at the bottom of the hill, and then exit rear across the intersection. So it will be a one-way in and a one-way out, which in this particular area is really DOT did grant the permit for that U entrance and exit for the storage facilities. So John will have to go back to DOT. He's already in discussions with them regarding the housing and what upgrades will occur with that. There is currently a 40-unit or a variance for 40-unit multifamily houses on the property. And when John started looking at trying to develop that, it wasn't economically feasible because of the infrastructure that needed to be brought in between the sewer, the water, and the road upgrades. It just wasn't feasible. So we're coming back to ask for the 120. The proposed scope of work, again, is the 120 units and 60 duplexes. This is on the hillside. It will be, there was a site walk on a prior visit, and I think most of the folks on the board were at the site walk. So the buildings will be up on the hill. This plan is a general layout. It's so when the engineering is done, the buildings may shift around. There is approximately a 15-acre piece that is being committed, highlighted in purple right here. So these buildings may shift around a little bit. The idea is to get drive under garages if possible. In most places, they will be able to do that. There is, again, it'll be a private road network with private parking areas. There will be areas set aside for gardens for the people that live in the homes. The intent is for the houses to be spread out enough so there's yard areas between the homes. So in other words, they're not going to be densely packed, but enough area between, so there will be yard areas. There's municipal water is available. However, the costs may be too much for the municipal water. So there's the large area of the lot out back is being reserved at this point. It's off this map to put in wells to have a community water system if needed. Either way, the water will be supplied to these units either through the municipal system or through a private water system. Five tests for the variance, and I'll go through these very quickly. Tests 1 and 2 are generally considered together. Those tests are the public interest and the spirit of the ordinance. The Supreme Court, again, has said you sort of look at those together. And the Supreme Court has said for a variance to be contrary to the public interest and inconsistent with the spirit of the ordinance, its grant must violate the ordinance's basic zoning objectives. And in the Harborside case from 2011, the court gave two ways of looking at what the basic zoning objectives are. And this is, both of these don't have to be met. You can meet one and still grant the variance. One is whether the variance, granting the variance will alter the essential character of the neighborhood. The second test is whether granting the variance will threaten public health, safety, and welfare. In this particular case, granting this variance will not change the essential character of the neighborhood. The neighborhood is or this particular lot is a transition lot. And if you look at the tax maps that are attached, you can see it abuts the regional commercial district, which is a very dense commercial district. This is the first lot in the resort commercial district. And then, which in the resort commercial district is basically set up for resort commercial and housing along the lake or camps, things like that. So this is really a transition zone. There are in the resort, in the RG district, as you know, there's the Home Depot, BJ's, Tanger Outlet, Hobby Lobby, the Hampton Inn, very dense development. And then all of a sudden, as you keep going north, the development calms down. There is the new storage unit or storage building on the left, but I think the amount of traffic that's going to generate is going to be limited, notwithstanding the fact that the building's rather large. There are other commercial, smaller commercial developments along the way, Lenchance's Water Filter, Rap City, et cetera, et cetera. There are a few single-family homes along the road. Most of those are already being converted into commercial. But as you move back off the highway, especially on the other side of the highway near the water, there's a large residential subdivisions. Northwest of the property is an industrial zone. The industrial zone where Nickerson Business Park is sort of, it is remote from the proposal for these houses. It's across the power lines. There's a large wetland out there, and you essentially, when you're in this area of development, you can't really see over to that area. It's that far. It also abuts the golf course. The golf course is to the north of this property, so the golf course is a less intense use. There is a veterinary clinic, which is abuts as well, which is a less intense use. So overall, adding these duplexes in this area will not change the essential or not change the character of the neighborhood. They'll blend in. John put some photographs up here of what he's intending. He wants these to look nice. They'll fit into the neighborhood. They'll be set back almost 300 feet from the road. During the planning board process, there will be landscaping that will be provided for shielding. So you won't see them very close to the road. Again, that's where the commercial storage is. The second test, and again, you don't have to meet both of these tests, but I believe this project does, is the variance will not threaten the public health, safety, or welfare. Well, this is a pretty easy one. We're going to have public sewer. We're either going to have public water or a community water system, and the roads will be private, maintained privately, and DOT will dictate what has to occur at the entrances and exits. So as regarding the health and safety issues, there really are none here. The proposal is to have the dwelling unit set back again 300 feet from the road, separated by a storage unit facility. So there won't be direct pedestrian access, so to speak, at the road. Substantial justice. Whether substantial justice is whether the gain to the general public by denying the variance request outweighs any loss to the individual. Well, there is actually gain to the general public in this case, in that we've already established that there's a huge need for housing. The loss to the individual is the loss of the ability to provide the housing. This is a resort commercial zone. The only way to provide housing in here under the ordinance as it exists is to build roads and create single-family house lots, which would take up the the entire 50 acres to be able to do it. You'd have to bring in infrastructure. You'd have to bring in all the utilities, and the road and infrastructure would go way into the property and be hugely expensive. Or in other words, it doesn't work. Economically, it just plain doesn't work. So what the developer is left with would be to develop this with yet another commercial development, which in this particular case doesn't make sense. We need housing. So the loss to the individual is far outweighed by the gain to the general public. The second test is the proposed use consistent with the area's present use? Well, yes, I think I pretty much hit that. It's a densely developed area with commercial use, the need for housing to have employees for the commercial use. This would answer that question, and it would be consistent with the present use. Values of surrounding properties will not be diminished. There's no evidence that's been provided to show that constructing duplex dwellings on this property will decrease the surrounding property values. As a matter of fact, they're probably going to increase the surrounding property values by providing housing for the employees. Unnecessary hardship. What's the substantial relationship that exists between the general public purpose of the ordinance and the specific application of the provisions of the property? This property is unique, again, because it's a transition property from the dense commercial into the resort commercial, less dense resort commercial. It's the first lot. The property line is the zone line. This property is also one of the largest, last undeveloped lots along the road. It's 40 acres. Oh, excuse me, it's almost 50 acres. It's also sort of long and narrow back, so it allows the housing development to be placed off the road, away from the road. So it's got a unique layout to it. It's also unique in that it has the sewer and the water. It's one of the last lots along the sewer and the water that would allow this type of development. It has access to Route 3. And I said because it's adjacent to the large job supply, it's unique in that aspect. So then we look at the purpose of the zoning ordinance, which is to, in this particular area, the resort commercial is designed for recreation, restaurant accommodations together with small-scale retail and services along Route 3 and adjacent to Silver and Winnisquam Lakes. Sewer is planned but not yet available in the area. Again, Mrs. Plesner indicated that when the zoning ordinance was written some 15 or 20 years ago, the sewer wasn't there. Well, it's there. It's here now. And when we look at other areas in town that have the sewer, those areas allow the denser development. So that's one of the changes that has occurred. The proposed use is a reasonable use. I think we've probably hit on this several times tonight. The need for housing is a reasonable use. This isn't going to create so much traffic that it's a problem for the rest of the area. I think the commercial uses create a lot more traffic than these do. There's a need for workforce housing, as we talked about. And I won't get into the whole zoning ordinance. I've got it in my report here. This is good. I went through 3 pages and didn't say a word. So in conclusion, we would ask the zoning board to approve this variance. We believe it meets all 5 criteria, and it would be good for the town to allow this development with the workforce housing. Thank you very much. Questions?
Thank you. Any questions for him?
I just had one. You said that there's going to be underground parking
No, it would be,
or under building parking?
we'll show it here. Yeah. It would, there's a slope out there, so when you build the buildings in the slope,
See the picture?
So it'd
you'll be able to park under.
Because I just noticed that there was no parking lot.
Right, we did, that's a conceptual really of what we're showing you. That's
Right.
nothing that would bring to planning.
Oh,
We-
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just a conceptual,
All right,
you know,
just to
Well-
kind of show where all the buildings would
That's
be.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
in the last time we had the engineer here, he spoke to it being a feasible plan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't bring him here.
Yeah, and the property really is laid out very well. One is size, the other one is the slope.
Right.
So there's no, and the engineer that was here before spoke to this, is that there's no real issue designing the stormwater runoff because there's plenty of area, there's enough slope, and to be able to deal with the stormwater runoff without affecting wetlands or anything else. And this will need state alteration of terrain approval, so there will be through the planning process, there'll be state approval as well.
I do have a question on the traffic and DOT, and I know you mentioned it's going to be a loop road.
That's correct.
I don't know if you have the final plans from DOT, but there's probably going to be turn lanes for entering. Is your exit across from Manville?
So there's been quite a bit of discussions about that, and there's gonna be a lot more as we get to move forward.
So,
Thank you, I need the mic. I have a habit of doing that.
So I didn't know if your exit was near Manville, going to be in line with Manville, or
I'm gonna grab the mic and I can.
yeah.
point to the plan and we'll understand what it is. There's an additional plan if anybody wants.
No, I'm okay. Yep.
John, can you turn the plan so they can see it? Oh, you know what, I can.
Oh, this is gonna be a problem.
You help me. We make
Just, I know one of the concerns is the traffic in the area, and development sometimes helps situations when it's redesigned.
Right, and so we have spent money and time, and the last thing we did was called a weight study for DOT, and that's what really brought me to having to have more units. We know that this loop road it's a one way, so you enter this way and you're allowed to come out. We wanted to make it two ways here, but what that would do, that would essentially block off Manville Road. If somebody was waiting, coming in from the west and was waiting to turn in here, it'd be a problem. So they don't allow that. So we purchased this lot and created the loop road to come around. That does help with the traffic, but still DOT has this way of doing a weight study, and they plot it with a graph, and it tells you where the dot lands and what you have to do. We got to that point, which takes money and time. You get to that point and they're saying both sides of these roads are going to have to be widened. Now, I believe that what happened earlier here today and what's happening here right now, that DOT is aware of it and they're following this. One of the things that I had going for me when I was first doing the first 40 units, DOT said I was fine, no problem, it works. When Manville Road project came online, they said it doesn't work anymore. It's too much traffic. I don't know exactly what DOT is going to mandate to us, but I assume you're going to see a light here, and this road will probably be moved over and be two ways. But I'm speculation till I get in front of DOT and we go through what they call scoping meetings, and you're all welcome to join. They're usually public. I hope that answers the traffic situation.
It does. I mean, the exit out of the property is in the area of Manville Road, and
Absolutely.
yeah. Okay.
Right.
Thank you, John.
Yeah, my pleasure. Anything else about the plan? I mean, in designing this, when we all walked it, there's a stone wall that goes along here, which I think really is a nice transition from the rest of this property and the housing. We had left this whole area here is still treed, and we plan anticipating leaving it treed. I don't know what else I can do to make this a good development for the town. Adding the workforce housing to it is a huge development, I think. It's a huge plus.
There's actually going to be, if you could speak to what that is exactly.
Sure.
I just think that it might be a little.
So 20% of the houses will have to qualify for workforce. That number, maybe I should have you, Steve, say more to it, but what that number is designated by the state, and you take the median value of what people make and you determine how much you can pay. It's basically a rent control, or even if you decide to sell them, it controls the price of selling them. The maximum price you can rent them for is $1,600. The minimum price is $1,300. Basically, that 20% is subsidized by the rest of the development. That's how it works. That's great. I mean, you know,
Is subsidized, sorry, yeah.
they can be rented, they can be sold, whatever. They have to follow within that workforce housing criteria. That workforce housing criteria changes. It changes by how much you make in each particular area. In this particular area, it's $74,500. You have to be less than that to qualify. So this is that's the answer.
Did you say the workforce housing portion is subsidized by the other houses?
They are,
or
absolutely.
It's not subsidized by the government as a standalone thing?
No.
Okay.
Subsidized by the, these people have to pay a little bit more rent than the other people do, because that allows them, look, some people need a hand up when you're first starting off. I don't know what firefighter makes. I don't know what the police make, but I believe it's under $74,500 starting off. So if you were to provide really good housing for them, you would attract them and you would actually keep them longer in the position, in my opinion. Teachers, I know that, my wife was a teacher for years. I know that they don't start off at that. So these type of houses would qualify for them. They still have to have good credit and things like that. They can't be, you know, it's not.
How long is it obligated to be?
Good
10
question.
years.
That's a really good question. It's 10 years.
Okay.
So it would be 12.4 of these would be workforce.
I think you're going to come up with a little higher number than that, because that's
20%?
20%, I think.
Of 62?
Well,
120.
It's 120
Oh,
units.
sorry. So
just
double
double
that,
that
20
number.
yeah,
You got
20
it. Right,
yeah,
Steve.
25.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah, and so what will happen, obviously, all of the units won't be built at once. So as the units are built,
Some of them will be.
20% of whatever is built out would be the workforce. So there may only be one workforce housing for the first go around, but then as it continues, and a lot of under the workforce housing statute, the planning board has a lot of negotiating sort of power to figure out exactly how the workforce housing restrictions will be managed, because the legislature sort of left that open. And there are a lot of different models throughout the state that John and I have been looking at of how to manage those models. And one of the ways would be to hire a company, to look at who's living in the houses and what they're making, things like that. So a lot of that will happen and it's designed to happen at the planning board. But
Any other questions?
Good questions.
Yeah, you got any?
I have no rush.
If I remember correctly with the last plans,
Right.
I believe there was some portions of the property that were going to be put into conservation.
That's correct.
Has that been removed from these plans?
It's been removed from these plans. We're sure when we get to the planning, we'll put some in. But at this point, when we're still in the stages of planning, we have to go for alteration of terrain. We didn't want to have any confusion, and I was advised by people to do it at the planning stage and not at this stage.
Okay.
So it's your intent
It
to
is.
put land back in?
It is.
Okay, just making sure I understand.
Yep.
There is a lot of wetland out there. So
Well, there's 9.8 acres of it is wet, so that would go in. But there's also another large percentage that would create a wildlife corridor, because when Home Depot went in, they put 25 acres into it too. So my intent is to add to this, so it would have a longer wildlife corridor.
Is the Eversource easement on your property, or
It is.
It is.
Yep.
It is.
Yep.
Yep.
And I don't mean this as a statement. I'm not trying to tie your hands. I'm just trying to understand.
Okay, I'll try
when
not
we
to.
when we last heard the last case,
Yes.
you had the intent that at some time down the road you would possibly expand it. Is this
That's
about
correct.
the vision?
This is it.
This is the vision
I'm
that
not
you were
coming
foreseeing.
back. This is nerve-wracking enough. It's no offense to you guys, because you guys have been great, but I don't. This is it. If we come back for anything, it will be for to increase the storage in the lower part. But you won't see any more housing from me if we get this granted.
This is the vision that you.
This is the vision I've had.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I
And-
think that's a fair question.
And the first variance that we granted, the numbers just aren't working for the infrastructure that's got to be done
Right. What
and
killed
the
it,
workforce housing.
that's correct. What killed it was the road work that was going to be required for us. When I came back, once we got the 40 units approval, we did the next level of study. We brought that to the state, and it went from this to this. So to make up, it's expensive to widen roads, and I imagine we're going to have a traffic light there, but I don't have that control. Big thing that's happening now is little rotaries, huh?
Yeah, rotaries are popular.
Okay.
So I believe the House Bill 631 applies to this one as well, correct?
Directly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've already.
Yeah. No.
I mean, we've already hashed out the core
Just
intent
curious.
of this. It's
You know, I'm going to speak to that just because you hit me on a good nerve. I went and I did a warrant article. I spent a lot of money and a lot of time, and it went from 153 to 122. And basically, that does exactly what this new plan that the state is proposing does. Seriously, that's exactly what I was proposing. For having certain sections of the town, the resort commercial, to have that. I only bring that up because it's near and dear to me. I'm sorry.
any more questions, one?
I have a couple more regarding the Tilton has 2 to 3 more jobs than workers.
True.
Do you have any data on the surrounding
I do,
towns?
and actually
Surrounding towns?
Surrounding towns? No,
I mean,
so 4 towns are specifically spelled out.
Yeah.
It's Portsmouth, Tilton,
Lebanon.
What's the other?
Dover? It might have been Dover.
There's 4 of them. Hanover, thank you. Those are the towns that have way more commercial jobs than they have residential units to support those jobs.
But that data, we don't have it right here, but that data is available on the
It is
New Hampshire-
available?
New Hampshire Housing Authority.
Sure. Housing needs assessment.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, like, what's the goal? Oh, is it 1-to-1? That's the end goal, 1-to-1.
Even if you got 2 to 1, it wouldn't be terrible. Right now,
Well,
statistically,
yeah,
2 to 1 meaning
Yeah.
2 people work here and 1 lives.
But really, you can't, and this planners and the legislature and the courts have all said you can't look at just the town. You have to look at the region. So it's hard to say what's the goal. You know, when you all of a sudden when you start looking at a region, you say what's the goal? Yeah, you need to have housing within the region for a certain degree. And there was a case up in Ossipee where they were talking about whether the region included North Conway down to Ossipee or went down to Wolfboro. And it made a huge difference in the analysis because Wolfboro didn't have as much house, or it didn't have as much commercial as the North Conway area did.
Yeah.
So, but the end result there was the court was looking at the whole region, not just towns.
Yeah. I guess I'm just curious because when I think of, like, okay, let's take the extreme.
Sure.
New York City. So it's like 8.4 million live there, 4.7 million work there. Like, way more people work than live.
Right.
But it's like it's still the coffee shop. The people who work in a coffee shop can't afford Manhattan. I just think potentially, I don't know what the statistic shows. As I guess
you're probably getting way over my head. So you know.
I'm just saying when you. Is it something on?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm just curious what the end goal is. I think this plays into the character of the neighborhood. How much are we changing the character of the neighborhood here?
Right.
Well,
I think if we go back far enough in time, this character around here was teepees. So, you know, things progress and they change as they're going. This area is changing. We need more housing in this area.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and now houses that cost $500,000 and $600,000, and the reality is that the people that are buying those houses aren't working. They're not the workers.
We're living.
Right.
We're living.
I mean, when I was a teenager, we'd come up to the camp over in Winnipesaukee, we'd drive through Tilton, and there was nothing there. Pike was the only thing there.
Yeah. Right.
I mean,
I moved in here. That was all it was.
That was all that was there. Sure.
Yeah.
big deal was McDonald's when they came in.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess my main question is like, is there an example you can point to where the ratio is correct and you go, that's a good? Is there anything?
I don't.
That's a
have,
good question. Yeah,
I don't have an answer. All I know is that there's a really shortage of housing right now.
If you go on the New Hampshire Housing Authority website, there are a ton of studies, and I was looking for the ones that where there wasn't enough housing.
Yeah.
You know, for this.
Correct.
But I'm
right.
sure you know buried in there if you dig
is the opposite.
Is the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the point, just reading the blurb that's getting made, and I have not read this New Hampshire Housing Needs Assessment, but the point they're trying to drive with the problem with that ratio is that people then have to commute to their jobs.
Right.
It makes it less likely to stay in that job because you got to drive to that job.
Correct.
Makes it cost more. That was.
But what I'm arguing is
what is the good ratio?
No. What I'm arguing is when you take it to the opposite extreme
Right.
of New York, twice as many people work and live, there's still the problem of commuting.
Yes. Yeah.
People are commuting into Manhattan.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think you have to pay now to commute there, right? It's an additional fee.
Yeah,
They
$15
call it a
every time you
commuter
go
fee.
in.
I think it's
I
like,
do it every week.
yeah. You do?
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, even in our own area, you drive along the exit 20 area, pretty much every store you walk into has got a sign in the window.
Absolutely.
They're looking for help. You know, and people can't come up here if there's no place to live.
Right.
I have a friend that just moved back up from Florida that's been renting around until she gets kicked out into finding, she's looking for a place to live. She wants to live in our area, but there's just nothing there right now. You know, so she's in rentals over on the lake, going from one to another, waiting for something to come up.
Do we have any more questions for him before we open up the public? No?
No.
Any public comments or questions? Gotta use the mic.
Jane Alden, town of Tilton. I just want to say you can argue all you want about commuting or whatever. It's illegal in the state of New Hampshire since 2008 to deny workforce housing. Okay?
Thank you.
Is that true? If that's
true. Yes, it is.
Where did you
If
get
you
that?
if you would like to find out more about workforce housing, go to the website either Lake Streets and Planning or go to the New Hampshire Municipal Association. There's a great deal of information there on workforce
I
housing.
think I think there's a little bit of qualifiers to it. We were hoping to have a lawyer come in to expand on the exact definitions of those RSA. You have to provide reasonable accommodations for workforce housing. Now, that was the question. We didn't know what that meant.
So it's all hinged upon reasonable.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's when the RSA was passed.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jane. Any other?
So Lisa Nee, 80 Andrews Road. Again, traffic concerns. You just approved 240. Now, right across the street, you're going to approve another 120 cars on that road. Again, coming from Laconia into Tilton, I have to take a left to go onto Manville. I take my life every day waiting to cross over Route 3. No one lets us go. I'm always looking behind me to see cars are coming up behind me quick and hard. There's a curve there. People don't see us, especially at night. I've been clipped. It's absolutely a horrible intersection. I understand you guys say DOT's going to come in and try and fix this, but for us, we have to live through this every day. And if you don't have the information, what this lovely woman just said, if you don't know if you have to approve it or not, maybe you should wait until you find that out and get all the DOT information from the first variance that you just approved before we make a decision on this other variance.
Thank you for your input. Any other public comment? Everybody good? Good to close it? Deliberate?
Anybody online?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Anyone online? Any public comment? All right. We'll close public comment and move to deliberative. Just to give you guys the background, we heard a similar case for, I believe it was 40 units. We've approved multifamily housing on this lot.
Yes.
We have not approved this specific style or this number of units on this lot. So that's kind of what we're back here for. I think just to follow up, we kind of spoke to this. I don't know how I want to word this. I would like to see whatever we do tonight, if we move in favor of this, that it's contingent on meeting the needs of the proposed development at 83 Manville Road.
Yeah.
And I can appreciate that ties his hands a little bit, but I think that it is important that there's obviously a traffic problem on Route 3. We've hashed out traffic on Route 3 on almost every single case we've ever heard sitting here. So something has to change. There's no doubt about that. And I think that we would be not doing our due diligence to not require that that's part of the consideration. I don't know how you guys feel.
No, I agree with you on that because traffic is an issue in that area. And with the other project, it's just going to be a lot more traffic.
Well, I think DOT is going to require that as well.
Yes.
I guess I was thinking like, yeah, DOT probably would, but
But you just want to make sure.
Is there value that we say like we don't want it to slip through the cracks? And
can you explain, like, just kind of play that out a little bit more?
Right. So 83 Manville Road got its approval, but they don't decide to do anything over there for 3 years. But they're ready to go tomorrow on their project. That whatever traffic fix happens has to be considerate of what could happen on Manville Road. So that there isn't like a proposed fix that takes care of this, but then when Manville Road comes along, it didn't actually take it. I don't know if that makes sense, but.
Well, the only question I have about that is if I move forward and let's say I have to widen the road on both sides, Manville moves forward and has to do a traffic light. That means I have to do a traffic light? I'm building it out for Manville?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Who?
Yeah, you didn't, the way you said it.
Well, this is why please tear it apart. I don't know.
Well, yeah, because I mean, yeah, I know that was kind of.
I mean, whether he doesn't have to put a traffic light in, but the roads have to meet, like he's talking about a loop road. Well, what happens if after Manville Road, they say this loop road doesn't work, but in isolation, the loop road works? I guess that's more of the stuff that you might be able to speak to, Brian, than.
But weren't we told by Scott that they've already been talking and
Oh yeah.
They've been talking,
together?
But
What he's
sides?
trying to do is improve, if this were to go through, improve the traffic situation now. So, because that's obviously the main concern here, is like the traffic situation cannot get worse. So
right,
and
not do it based on this project with that other project looming,
Well,
but have that project as.
I can tell you this much, from doing this for years with both boards, DOT isn't going to let that development open at all if the road work isn't done.
I tell you, yes, totally appreciate that. Maybe I'm wording this really wrong.
Mr. Chair, let me put some light on that DOT scoping meeting. When we had the scoping meeting, we included all of the active projects that are open and coming to light within the next year, from Town Hall all the way up to the Winnisquam Bridge. No, a little bit further than that. And they weren't aware of that. So now they're looking at all of the projects and the entire picture, because there's multiple projects that are happening at that. They don't want to just put up a light, like John says, put up a light on one side and then the opposite, because they have to have so many feet in between lights. And there's so much that you can do on Route 3 without causing more trouble and accidents within that amount of footage. So they're looking at the entire projects that we have going out there and sitting down with us, and then sitting down with the business owners and applicants and saying, this is what, and engineers, and this is what we feel you need to have to make it more safe, not only for the projects, but for Route 3 in the town of Tilton. So it's all inclusive. It's not just, you can't just say, well, it's for this particular project. It's for 83 Manville Road. It's the entire project. So I hope that helps
I
you
appreciate
answer that.
And I I guess what I'm trying to say is, and I'm not trying to say that anybody isn't doing their due diligence right now. It's pretty clear that the people involved right now are doing their due diligence. But we always talk about that we aren't granting Haven Grove really this. We're giving that piece of land this. Correct. So if tomorrow Haven Grove decides we're all done, we're going to sell this, we're moving on. I guess what I'm trying to hope is that we make sure that we are, if we move to approve this, that it doesn't get lost in the shuffle. I guess that's more what I'm trying to what I'm worried about, and maybe unnecessarily so.
Right.
The only comment I'd like to add to that is the DOT is incredibly thorough with what they do, and we spend a ton of money on their traffic studies. So even though we're trying to narrow it down to this property, and I know what you're doing, the DOT is way, how do I say it without being offensive, way ahead of us. You know, they're
good.
They have engineers. It gets studied. It gets done at the local area. Then it gets sent down to the state. And they have an engineer, one guy who oversees any type of this thing, gives us a signature or not. So they're not going to just give me a little wave. Okay, you're good, John. But Manville comes in, it's going to change. They're going to tie us all in together. Yes, I've been in the same scoping meetings with Manville. They need some property from me to widen the road. So it's going to get way more complicated than we can ever solve right here. The only thing we're looking for is the rights to move forward.
Totally understand. And I guess that is exactly harpens to what I was like, is that there are two potential big projects. So I'm just hoping that we find a way that we do it once right. And maybe DOT's already doing that.
The DOT's already doing it. They're already working on it. We're in the scoping meetings. They've already surveyed the whole property. They don't know how much land has to be taken. So we really need to let them.
Sure. I
can't.
I know that was the advice we got, but
Right.
I don't. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like I don't think that's probably proper to put that kind of contingency on it.
No.
At this level,
Right.
when, but better let the planning board do it.
Also, just to address your concern, if he gets his approvals and then he decides, I don't want anything to do with it, I'm going to sell it. Whoever buys it, if they're not going to do exactly what we approved, they've got to come back.
Right.
Yes, I guess I meant that maybe they're not quite as willing to work with Manville as Mr. Bedard had. That's all I guess I was trying to get
He
at.
would have his everything in place
Essentially, yes.
when he sold it. So any adjustment that they're going to make to that means they got to come back to the town.
Right.
They can't just, well, I don't want it over there. I'm going to build this instead.
Like I said, my concern might be unjustified. I just.
I mean, I understand where you're going, but I mean, it's like what you're saying is really, first of all, well beyond us, because DOT isn't going to listen to what you might want or the conditions you're going to put on it.
We sometimes put conditions just to force the conversation. That's more we like to force the conversations. Right. That's
DOT.
Mr. Chairman, I think I can help you out a little bit. What our land use coordinator is trying to say to you very diplomatically was after our meeting and informational meeting with the state and inform them of the growth that we were looking at as a result of another meeting that took place with DOT here, and you were here, Representative, as well. We opened their eyes and they were like, wow. So at the scoping meeting that John and Pat and I were at separate locations online with, the state, in fact, it came from the deputy commissioner who came to this meeting in this building. And the deputy commissioner said, we were basically not aware of all of this growth, not just in that area, but all of Route 3. So through some criticisms of DOT, we facilitated this meeting. So I am very comfortable with John's perception of this. And I was at that meeting, and the lady that spoke, if anything, from John's side of the road, I personally, and you know my background, I was a traffic cop for years. If anything, those folks that have to turn left now, the widening of the area that John's going to have to do to put the road in to allow those folks into his development is going to be a safe way for the cars that are coming behind this lady who's sitting, trying to turn left, and I've tried that. There's going to be at least an opening that they can get around on the other side. I'm sure that's what's going to happen.
Mhm.
Just like it does at Home Depot and Applebee's. Same thing. So
Thank you. Cool.
Absolutely.
Speaking of contingencies, I believe last time we put something in regards to green space to mimic lot size requirements in similar areas. So, for example, I don't know, in the downtown, what is it, half acre or something for a single family. So something just to offer some sort of green space. So if there were children, they're not playing either in the street or.
I'm just looking for the minutes so that I can accurately.
I don't believe we put a square footage on it. I believe it was just a recommendation to the planning board to consider green space.
I was just going to say, I think that was yeah.
Okay.
That's planning board.
I don't remember what day we heard it, but I think it was exactly that, like just how you said it.
Yep.
Any other thoughts you guys want to move to the 5 or?
Fine.
Yeah, I'm all set.
I can't find that exact minutes, but I think we can put it in there correctly.
Pretty much talked everything through too.
We did, yep.
Yeah.
Man, I lost track of my stuff. Okay, number 1, granting this variance would not be contrary to the public interest. I want to speak to this?
Yeah, I think you want to.
I mean,
okay.
I'd say yes, but.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, I think the zoning, the way it's written, even at that time, the only thing that was different, which he's already been approved for, was the duplex instead of single family. And that's already been, approved the last time he was here. So the only reason he's back tonight is to expand that number. So as far as the zoning goes, we've given him the variance on what he was looking for at the time, which would be a little different than the zoning. So I don't see to where it would be in conflict with that.
Right now, he's allowed 40 units, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And he wants to increase it to 120.
Yeah.
I agree that the increase in units does not meaningfully change from the last variance that we
Correct.
approved. Yeah. For all the same reasons. If I remember right, the hang up last time on why this wasn't already multifamily is that there was no sewer and water.
Right.
He was bringing sewer and water in.
Correct.
Yep.
Now there is. Well, at least sewer.
Well,
there is water.
There will be water, whether it's wells or
Yep.
If the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed.
Yeah, I think he was talking about how it is transitional, so that makes sense too. Yeah.
And the resort commercial does allow for residential. So it's just an expansion of what the zoning says now. Yeah.
Granting the variance to do substantial justice.
Well, it's too expensive to build small scale.
Right.
So you got to scale it up.
The infrastructure that
worthwhile.
The infrastructure that Route 3 is going to require is costly.
Yep.
Yeah, and the justice to the taxpayers is still maintained. I personally believe, again, with the same, it's not a significantly large increase compared to what's already approved.
Right. Plus the fact that it will bring more tax dollars into the town.
If the DOT does what they should do here by creating lanes, that actually solves a problem as well of the turning.
And I believe they will.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a good point. It actually kind of
Fingers crossed.
there's actually gain to the public in theory in a fixed traffic flow.
Right.
Values of surrounding properties. We don't have any evidence one way or the other for this project.
No.
And unnecessary hardship.
It's a transition property.
Yep, transition property, and when it was zoned that way, the water and sewer.
Yeah, I agree. it meets all the same criteria as last time.
Yep, you're right.
They're bringing water and sewer in.
Yep.
It set off the way that lay of the land is, sets it way off Route 3.
Making the road safer.
All right, any motions?
I make a motion to approve ZB 25-03, allowing 60 two-family dwellings, duplexes, for a total of 120 units in a resort commercial zone.
Brian made the motion. Any seconds?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Sandy. Any further discussion? Ready for a vote? If you roll call us, Pat.
Oh, actually, I do have one more question. Well, do we have to remake the motion if we?
I don't know. We're still
My-
technically on the discussion. We haven't voted yet.
Okay, my question is, I believe there was a 10-year limit on the workforce housing, correct? And then it can be taken out of workforce housing after that?
Correct. That's how it works.
Okay. I was just curious. That was it.
Good to vote?
Yep.
Roll call vote, Sandy?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
Juliet?
Yes.
All right. 25-03 passes. Thank you for coming in. All right. On to 25-04. MJB Properties. All right. I got to get my paperwork in order here.
Yeah, cool.
What did I do with it?
I mean, like, if I would get rid of the walls for the pool.
I thought maybe, yeah. I wouldn't actually.
I can't even remember. Where are we here?
We're at a lot line setback.
Setbacks.
Yeah.
I think we're on a West Main Street property yet.
Yes. 491 West Main.
Oh, that's true. Over to the school.
I don't have it with me.
Oh, here we go.
Why does it sound familiar?
I think we've heard a bunch of things. If you don't mind, I just wanted to put a car lot on here without any facilities.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where we are. We're down there. Okay.
Right near the high school. Evening.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. So I don't know if you've done zoning board cases before.
Nope.
They are tiresome. No, they're great.
I've been here the whole time. It's been quite the.
So if you
quite the
could just
journey.
give us an overview of what you got going on.
Sure thing.
And then if you can go through the 5 criteria, you don't have to read it word for word, but if you could just kind of summarize it, we do just have to hit each 5 from you as part of the record.
All right. I think Pat was going to grab that for me.
Okay.
I'll just to give a briefing on the whole plan is what I have. My name is Jesse Burke. Our property management company is MJB Properties. We purchased the property at 491 West Main Street about a year ago, just in the thoughts of being able to build a commercial building over there for some of our individual contractors that I do business with. I'm own a small locally owned family general contracting business. So my thought was, with this being that it's a third of an acre, there's really not a whole lot of use for that piece of land. And I'd been looking at it for years as it's right across the street from my shop and office that I have there now, and just happened to get the opportunity to purchase it. So when that came about, I thought it'd be a great opportunity to build a contractor unit of 3 bays with with an office above for electricians, plumbers, HVAC. just kind of go coincide with my business. And I have many guys in the trades that I think would benefit from it that just work out of their houses. So small individual contractors. So I just thought it'd be a great spot for it, being that I have my general contracting business directly across the street. So really, I'm just proposing to try to build the 80. It's an 80 by 40 building. I'm looking to get given that it's a limited size, 10-foot setbacks on two sides of it, just to allow that a little bit of an additional space, being that it is, the property is 137 by 100. So being that if we could set it at the 10-foot mark, it'd give us some room for parking on the right-hand side, and then allow for room in the front as well, and be able to make a nice parking lot in there to be able to put trailers and additional work vans and such. So yeah, just looking to get an approval on being able to get the 10-foot setbacks for that.
Could you just, which lot lines, and I apologize that the plan doesn't help. Are you looking for road setbacks? Is it
Nope, it'd be the surrounding property on the back side and on I guess it'd be the north side heading towards Franklin.
so the Franklin side and then the north side.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So I believe it's the same property that wraps around this whole property, correct?
Correct.
Oh,
No.
that big lot.
It's a small lot, and then there's
It's
a
the
bigger lot that
small
goes
lot.
back.
Right.
Right. No, yeah, I'm saying the bigger lot surrounds this entire property.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
He does
And that's a-
not own
the
the bigger
road?
lot.
I think this is
Yeah.
the road.
the road down at the bottom where it says 137?
Yes.
But this is the West
Wow.
Main Street end.
Okay.
This would be Franklin. This would be
Schools.
downtown.
So the
Oh,
doors
yeah,
are
okay.
facing
the
Route 3.
school's like right here.
Correct.
Yep.
No, Franklin's that way. If you
Yeah.
go that way. Yeah. Perfect.
I just had a paper
Pat, is this
over here.
Is this a non-conforming lot? Like, is the lot already too small?
No.
No. Okay.
What is the minimum lot size requirement for that area?
You said it was what, a third acre?
Yeah.
This is 20,000 square feet. This is general commercial.
20. So
correct?
that's 20,000.
Yeah, 20,000 square
That's a
feet
half acre.
with sewer. And
So it is below that.
is that sewer available to it?
If
No
sewer's
sewer.
there. No sewer.
It is. It's a non-conforming.
So then it's 1 acre.
It is.
Yeah. Yeah, so non-conforming.
So it's, yeah. So it'd be 1 acre zoning.
Is that
with
what
no
she just said,
sewer.
or am I?
I misunderstood the
I'm going to
question.
double check real quick right here.
Oh, she was saying the opposite of what.
Yeah, I misunderstood your question.
Okay, it is a
It's
non-conforming lot.
non-conforming
Right.
lot,
Okay.
correct.
Yeah,
Thank you, Sandy.
you're welcome.
And you are planning on putting sewer septic system on it?
I was just going to do a portable toilet. I was told prior to purchase that we could do something along those lines for that being.
Zoning change on that? I thought the zoning changed on what you had to put as far as you couldn't have portable.
I believe you're correct, Sandy.
Just like the other one. Need running water.
Right.
Right behind this building. Yeah.
See if I can find it.
Were you going to put a well in, water, or this is going to be more storage units?
Yeah, it's going to be more storage with an office.
An office, so
Just like just as the bay shows, and then just like a mezzanine above, just for, again, an individual contractor to be able to store their stuff, do a little bit of paperwork.
What's that?
Type of thing.
Oh, good catch. Thank you very much. Sorry, we have a point of order that we have to take care of.
Sure.
We didn't appoint alternates for this case.
Oh, jeez.
So if you two would be so willing to continue to sit as alternates, we'll keep moving forward.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Good catch.
Thanks, Steve.
Sorry, good to take care of that. So you're not putting office space in, you're just putting a mezzanine?
Yeah. I call it office space, but it's basically a mezzanine just for extra space above, storage, whatever the individual contractor wants to use it as, really.
Okay.
Loft.
I know this is the same lot that.
Yeah, we have to get a little bit of direction from Pat when she comes back. So we had it was the same lot. We had somebody who wanted to develop it, but they were going to have people employed there. And I don't know if there's a percentage of like amount of time that someone spends on site. It was the fact they were going to have somebody employed at the site.
Yeah.
And they wanted a variance from the sewer and water
Right.
piece of it.
Right.
But I don't know if this falls into a storage category. We'll have to get a little bit of guidance from Pat when she
Actually, they were
comes
going to
back.
sell cars.
What's that?
They were going to sell cars.
They're going to
out
sell
of
cars, right?
So storage unit would not need
Right, because no
water
one
or sewer.
employed on site.
it. Right.
Oh, if it's self-storage, yeah. Okay.
Pat, could you provide us some guidance?
Yeah. I found the part on the
The
zoning.
10.5.2, it says all dwelling units and all commercial, public, or industrial buildings shall be connected to a potable water system, either municipal or private, to a sewage disposable system. When a public system is not available, a private sewer system is required.
Portable toilets.
So there's not sewer at this?
The sewer in
No,
the
it
street.
goes
doesn't
down
go
as
into
far
the
as the high school.
property. Oh, that's right.
It only goes down as far as the high school in,
I thought our sewer ran to Franklin.
It cuts across the river.
Cuts across. Goes
cuts
down
across the
tracks.
road and goes down the other way.
Got it.
But it
So it
goes on
stops
to
at the high
say
school.
here, portable toilets, commonly known as porta potties or outhouses, shall not be acceptable substitutes for sewage disposal.
This isn't a
Would there even
portable.
be?
We've used those in this office as like a composting toilet. People use them in their regular homes. They're the ones that burn ashes and things like that. It's not a porta potty.
Well, that's what he said he was gonna use.
No, it's not a porta potty. It's
Portable
a composting toilet. It's very different
But
from
it
a.
still goes
I mean, I
down.
guess it's not
is
up
that
to
what you
us
were
to find out whether he puts a toilet
what
in
you
there. or
meant.
That's
not. It's up to
correct.
the
That's
bit
what I
like-
meant.
You're absolutely. What was your question on advice?
We just had. You're answering it right now. We just had the case on this same lot where they were trying to put a car dealership there.
Sell
They were
cars.
trying to get relief from the sewer and water piece of it. But I remember a lot of discussion about it being that there was an employee there. But this answers the question. It doesn't matter.
There's no employees there, and I believe it's only just an empty, and you're just like storing things there. It's not like you're actually employing people that are using it daily, 8 to 5, whatever.
That's correct. It's
Yep.
going to be a storage unit for an individual contractor, no employees of
Right.
any sort in there as usable like sales or office as in walk-in for sales. It's going to be primarily just for the storage of an individual contractor. Like I said, individual licensed electricians, plumbers, HVAC, guys that work out of their houses that would just have that access for affordable contractor base to use with some road frontage.
But it does say what? No porta potties.
Correct. I mean, so the answer is he's going to have to put some sort of toilet in there, but it's not us. There's clearly outlets he can work with the
Yeah,
building
it's
department. to find out.
electric. It has electricity, right?
Right.
So,
Well,
put
It answers the
something like
question.
that, I guess.
Okay. Thank you.
okay.
He's going to have to put a toilet in. That's the.
Well, like you
That's
said
it.
too, that's really a planning issue. We were
Yes.
just trying to clarify it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, you still have to
Do-
go to the planning board.
Do you own this property now?
Yes,
Okay. But you don't own the property behind it?
correct.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Look at this map real quick.
So, I mean, the big issue is the
This is setback, yeah.
it's the the setback. How close is it to something else?
I was just going to
So
look at that
it's-
lot right now.
Yeah.
So it's a 20-foot setback needed there?
Yeah.
Yes.
And he's requesting 10.
10.
20 foot, and he's asking for a 10 foot.
Yeah, right.
Was there an option to put the building 20 feet off? Or just, so does it not fit?
Yeah.
No, it'll fit either way. I just feel that it'd be more beneficial in the front and on the side to be able to have additional
space.
parking.
Yeah.
It's
Like if somebody had a trailer or something like
exactly,
that. Yeah.
it's pretty tight.
Yeah. So forgive me, but it's hard to see here. So the whole building is the whole building, does it start down here?
Yeah, pretty much right above the 137. That
Yeah.
line there is
the property.
The property line, the
Property
100
line.
by 100
Okay.
by 137.
Yeah.
So essentially, 10 feet off of the back, 10 feet off the side over here.
Right.
And then that's going to be, if we're 80 feet here, that leaves us with 47 feet on this side. And then in the front.
Okay, so the front of the building is right here.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yep.
Sweet. What are these lines are parking? The like faded ones?
I think that was just part of showing. Oh, that's just showing part of like where the driveway access would be.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
The only thing of note here is that lot is like, it is
Yeah,
in the
I've
middle of
looked
the
at that.
access. Like
Correct.
that is the access for this lot. So this setback would be encroaching on
An entrance
the
or
access
exit. Correct.
from this lot potentially.
But the other side is bigger.
The other side is, yes, just the lay of the tax.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I
it's
wonder why
helpful.
this was subdivided like this. Strange.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He wants to see that or not.
I guess I could look it up.
Is this,
The little one is the owner of the other properties here.
Probably not.
oh, okay, yeah.
Thank God for your phone.
This is the Abbott
All right.
Suite.
So there's nothing on
The
either
hunting
side
app.
of it then.
No.
That's a hunting
Okay.
app.
A large.
Is there,
Shows your
how did you
property.
dip, you may have said this, I think I heard it. How'd you dip at 10 feet,
see
not
it? I
5
have it
feet?
too.
I just thought that'd be
Here, so,
kind of split the difference on it, not get onto that or the other property. Obviously, I'd love to be as close as possible, but I just
then the
came up
whole
with that
property
to
is
give enough
the
room on the side, on the front and the side.
but they
Okay,
carved
thank you.
out that little bit.
Non-compliance.
Well, it does, yes. I mean, it does. Part of it.
So this is the school right there.
Not a big
I think
full-size
the one
lot.
with those is like
Right.
here.
To do what one
That's the
would.
hardship.
That is the hardship.
Yeah, because they're
Yeah.
making most of the frontage.
Yeah, they just figured sell this and you still have access.
It's technically, if the lot, they came in for a subdivision today, we wouldn't allow the lot to be that
Correct.
small.
Right.
Correct.
Yeah.
Setback that he wants relief from
Is
is.
this left side and the top side. So
Then they tore down the
where'd
house.
my pen go?
Building is
Yes.
far away from the.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
there used to be a house there.
to increase.
Used to be a
parking
house
in
there
the
and they just
front,
tore it down.
He's pushing it all the way to
remember
this
that.
line and all the way to
Not
that
just,
line.
but yeah.
Well, splitting the difference.
Yeah.
So there's still 10 feet.
Hmm.
Okay.
Oh, good. God, there was West Main.
That it?
What?
Oh, here we go.
I just have a problem with, we turned the other guy
What are you
down.
looking for?
491.
A different variance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
Because
Okay.
he doesn't have an employee there.
Well, he's actually not asking for a variance from the sewer and water. He's
Right.
only asking for a setback
Setback.
variance.
Right.
Yeah.
So he'll have to meet sewer and water.
There you go,
what?
right
He'll
there.
have to meet sewer and water.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
No.
So it's
Oh,
a different variance.
Okay.
It's a better picture of it.
Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
We did say no to another.
Huh?
Full right behind this building too. That was storage.
No? Nope.
Yeah, he didn't know about
So
it.
he-
It was this lot, but he asked for a variance from sewage and water.
No. Never mind. I'm thinking of a different one.
Okay. Any more questions for him?
I don't have any.
Nope.
Any public comment?
Pardon me.
My name is Stephanie Winter. I'm actually the property owner at 495 West Main Street, so it's going to be the big property behind.
Oh, perfect.
So it's perfect, right? So I do have a few questions, only because first and foremost, this is obviously going to be a commercial unit. It's obviously for rental purposes. So I don't really see kind of the hardship, I guess, especially if you can make the unit smaller, because this is going to directly impact how people could get onto my unit on the left-hand side, especially. And additionally, I just went through this on a different property, and the fire has to have access around your entire building. 10 feet does not provide the access for the fire department to get around the entire building on your own property. So if he's going to pave that whole section, 10 feet does not allow that fire unit to get around that building, whether or not you then enter onto my property. So the 20 feet setback is really for safety concerns and purposes for like the fire department and access in that place. And additionally, how he kind of started out this whole conversation was that these units were going to be used as office spaces. He did say that they were going to be physical people there, whether it means that they are working there or that they're doing paperwork there or whatever the case is. So that sewage and water situation would have to be addressed at some way, shape, or form. So I know that's not the variance that's being requested, but the variance that is being requested doesn't really meet standards, because if you look at just the fire safety aspect of it, it doesn't. And then it encroaches on that left-hand side of mine. So I guess kind of the big thing is, like, for him, I don't really see what the hardship is into possibly making a smaller building and actually conforming to what is allowed from the town and the variances, or I should say the standards, not necessarily a variance then, because you can easily make this a 2-bay, you know, and then get the 20 and the 20. Because especially if he's going to start putting parking now on the right-hand side, your parking has to be 9 by 18, give or take. Now that 18 feet is going to encroach on my right-hand side. So you're now telling me both of my entrances are being affected just because we are approving something that goes from a 20-foot to a 10-foot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me, did you, real quick, did you purchase the property in the back? Were you the one who subdivided that property? Or did you purchase it with this subdivision?
Purchased it in the original, in this condition right here.
Right there, okay.
Used to be a house on this lot.
Used to be a house.
Oh, is that what it
that's
was?
the one
Got
that
it.
built
Got it.
old house. Yeah.
Good.
Okay, thank you.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
in order to go along with what you've asked Jesse on the other property on 37A, in order to access the larger piece of property, you have to have the correct amount of frontage, and that property doesn't have the correct amount of frontage. Without sewage, you have to have 200 feet of frontage, and neither side has 200 feet of frontage.
So without sewer, you need 200 feet of frontage.
Correct.
With sewer, you do not need 200 feet of frontage.
You need 100 feet.
100 feet.
So they would have to bring sewer down from the high school all the way down in order to access that
Right. And
piece of property.
Pat, could you clarify something for me?
Mhm.
As far as fire department access, I believe that's based on square footage.
Correct.
And I don't know whether or not this building would meet the square footage requirements for needing access all the way around. I just don't know the answer to that. I would have to.
And their other
say
piece
a building size.
in their other piece of property, they wanted 16 feet for access for the turn radius to get around the building because of the debris that was around on 549 West Main Street, which is where your public commenter owns.
But will that be determined by the planning board?
That's not
presumably?
determined by the zoning board, that's for sure.
Right, whether it's met it or not.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
Any other public comment?
Are we? Yeah.
We're still in public comment. Yeah. I don't know if there's anybody online. Okay, we'll close public comment and begin deliberating. Any initial thoughts?
Wait, we haven't heard the criteria yet for
Oh,
that.
thank you. Good catch. Jesse, you have to read your criteria into the record here.
Do you have that copy?
Oh, you can take this if you want.
All right.
What's that? Yes, he does have to read.
All right.
Oh, I have two here. Here, you want one back?
I'm good. I'm okay.
I have
As long as he
two.
gives it back, that's okay.
No, here, you can have
Oh,
that one.
he doesn't have to give it back.
I
I'm
had
good.
two.
He can paraphrase. You don't have to read it verbatim, but you'd have to.
All right,
hit
so
each
read
criteria.
1 through 5 here.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, so granting the variance would not be contrary to the public interest because economic benefits which could allow businesses to grow and also increase tax revenue. Go on to number 2. If the variance were granted, the spirit of the ordinance would be observed because encouraging and supporting local business and promoting compatible land use. Number 3, granting the variance would do substantial justice because it is a reasonable use of the property and an investment in the community. Number 4, if the variance were granted, the values of the surrounding properties would not be diminished because the property is already zoned for commercial use and would be well designed in an aesthetically pleasing building. Number 5, no fair or substantial, read the top A and then the bottom.
Yeah, A, and then 1 and 2 are the 2 criteria that tag.
Okay. All right. Owing to a special condition of the property that distinguishes it from other properties in the area, denial of the variance would result in unnecessary hardship because no fair and substantial relationship exists between the general public purposes of the ordinance provisions and specific application of the provision to the property because it is a unique piece of land, and due to the small piece of land there is limited use. Allowing for 10-foot setbacks would allow for 3 commercial bay garages and help maximize the use of the property. Number 2, the purpose use is reasonable. 1, because the piece of land has been vacant for a long period of time and would allow value and business growth within the community. B, explain how, if the criteria in subparagraph A are not established, an unnecessary hardship will be deemed to exist if and only if, owing to special conditions of the property that distinguish it from the other properties in the area, the property cannot be reasonable used in strict conformance with the obedience or ordinance, and variance is therefore necessary to enable reasonable use of it. If the variance was not approved, it would limit the functionality of the property due to size and unique lot.
Thank you. Any thoughts?
Well, I guess my only concern is the fact that if the building goes up, I think there should be some kind of a condition of approval that water and sewage should have to be added or at least recommended to the planning board.
I think it has to be regardless.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, my understanding is it has
Because
to
we've
be.
had other places in the town that had nothing and they started out as strictly storage, and all of a sudden there's people there, and it's like after the fact it's very hard to bring things into compliance.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think our goal is to approve things as if they would be enforced.
Yes.
Regardless of how they are enforced.
Right.
Yes, we have to make the assumption that it will be enforced.
You approve or deny, rather.
Right.
And he would have to put in sewer and water.
You would have to meet whatever the requirements for sewage disposal and
could be
water
a
were.
composting.
Yeah. But I also know that that would be a condition to the planning board.
Right.
Yeah.
Are we in deliberations now?
Yes. Well, you can. Yeah.
Okay. Did you say it was 47 feet from the road to the building?
It would be 40, 50, it'd be about 50 feet to the road.
50 feet.
Yep. If with the 10-foot setback.
Yeah, I'm just thinking if somebody had a van and a trailer. I mean, if the property was squared, it's like darn near impossible with 50 feet to get a van and trailer in there and back. Like this space to the side allows for
it is one of these non-conforming lots in a tough space. I'm on board that you couldn't put a vehicle in a trailer without the
side,
rear relief
side piece, which for its use, that's primarily like if a landscaper's there, they're going to have a 20-foot trailer with a 20-foot truck, and it's going to be very difficult to manage.
Right. I'm struggling with the west side structure setback. given that the access to that other lot is, how these two lots didn't end up as one is beyond me, but it is where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah, strange.
What's that?
Strange.
It's strange.
Yeah.
That is encroaching on their ability to access their property. And I can't suss out the exact details of what they would want to do outside of sewer or no sewer.
Yeah.
But we are, by allowing for this setback, and I don't see a hard reason why it couldn't be 2 bays to make it at least meet that west side setback. That's where my hang up is right now. I can be convinced. I am not a.
So are we hearing this as 2 separate setbacks, or is it
No, one.
because it's
One.
it's 10 feet off the back and 10 feet off the west side, correct?
He is asking for a 10-foot setback. It doesn't specify in his
west side and north side. It does on the
It does on the application. Okay, it doesn't
So
on
there's
the agenda.
There's one
Still gives
request
them
for
10
both.
So we can't, we can't
Separate them.
divide the question and.
Right.
just
Well, we
have-
could put some sort of contingency. correct?
Okay. Can we?
That the north side is acceptable, but not the
Yeah.
I feel though without that west side setback, there's really only 2 options because you couldn't center the building with a truck and a trailer with 3 bays. It's either 2 bays or there's a setback.
How about turning the building?
And running it the 100-foot.
Yeah.
So the garages are facing east.
I thought about that, but I'm not, off the top of my head, I'm not sure what.
Well, you got 137 feet, but this way you only have 100 feet.
Right.
So you gain 37 feet there. You meet your 20-foot setback on the Franklin side, but your 80-foot you would still need you would only could get. Oh, probably setback off the road. What's the setback off the road?
30 feet.
It's 80, so 137 minus 80 is what? You would need a setback on the north side still.
Right, to meet
Just
the
north side.
front setback.
Just the north
To meet
side.
the front setback,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
front setback is very different than the.
Right.
Actually,
137 minus 80 divided by 2.
Well, he needs 30, right? He needs 30 and 20.
Yeah.
He does not need variance if he turns the building. If I'm doing my math right.
Wait, 137.
Oh, it's 100 feet. Sorry, that's the problem.
It's 100, not
Yeah.
130.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he'd need
20.
He would need front and rear setbacks if he turned the building.
It would be 10 feet off the road and then 10 feet off the north side. Correct.
But that would give him more room for his trailer and truck because it's 137 feet instead of 100 feet.
Correct. But
yeah.
you'd also have a building 10 feet off the road.
Well, part of the problem is DOT has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
DOTs,
Can't do that. Yeah.
Whatever
They
their
have,
setbacks are.
the setbacks.
Yep.
Are the town setbacks matched to the DOT setbacks in regards to the road?
Not necessarily, no.
They can have separate
They
setbacks.
can vary all
Enforce.
along the road.
Yep.
So we can't do that
Yeah.
anyway.
So you don't know what kind of an easement DOT has.
Nope.
In regards to the hardship, did you run the numbers on 2 bays versus 3 bays? And is there
It honestly, it's not really worth it to do it at 2 bays for it, just because of the fact that, the numbers don't really work that well to pay for the building. Like to add that 3rd bay kind of covers the cost of it, to make it worth it to do. And as far as, the front and the trailer for the setback, like I said, I own the property across the street. I've been doing business there for 8 or 9 years. We pull our vans in and out every single day. I obviously have trailers as well. It's tight, but it's not overly tight. And as far as if I had renters over here, I would limit what they could have for vehicles there. They'd be, if someone came and they wanted to leave their work van at the shop, then they could just park their van there in front of their bay or to the side, but there'd be one vehicle in the bay and then one vehicle, allowed to be parked there. So I definitely would not let it get cluttered up over there just because it is a tight lot.
Matt, the other option is it seems like you're trying to help him out with some ideas on how to situate the building and his setbacks. The other option is that you can always leave him with those ideas and set it off for a month and let him come back and see what he can come up with.
Yeah, but one of my concerns, maybe I don't understand it, is he's got 137 feet. The building's 80 feet. So why does he need a setback to the west? Why can't he move the building 10 feet to the east?
I'm with you. My west setback's my big hang up.
Yes, that's my big hang up is the west setback.
What's the hang up though? That
it encroaches on the abutting property, and the abutting property is unique in itself
because it has an
by
entrance
being
and-
limited
yeah.
access to road frontage.
On the west side, which would be heading towards Franklin, that 70 feet that's owned by the others, that's pretty much unusable land right there. It kind of ravines down in. So where my land comes into that, then I think it goes from there through this little ravine and then over to, I'm not sure the property owner over there, but the white house. What's that?
Barbudo.
Barbudo, yeah. So I don't see that being honestly any disadvantage to them on that side, any hardship to them on that side by any means. So that side, I guess, is honestly probably more important to me even than the north side, just to get towards there. I mean, I would, I just thought if I'm applying for that, I might as well apply for the back side as well, the north side. So that would be really so as far as keeping it one way or the other, I would rather have more towards the left and then more towards the.
And the reason
the
to having
west.
more towards the left?
Just because of the length of the building, being, the depth of it, I could shrink the depth if I had to, but the width of it is what I'd really, so that way I can gain the three units there. The depth isn't like I could reduce that if I had to, even down by 10 feet to a 30-foot deep bay or 35-foot even for that matter. And then on the west side, as we talked about, being that's really unusable over there, I don't see how that would cause any hardship to anyone.
I'd like to.
Plus, we have to remember, he's not going over his own property line. I mean.
Right.
Well,
Yeah.
right.
It's
He
his
couldn't do that.
property.
Yeah.
Possible.
Yeah.
Is anybody else interested in a walkthrough?
I was just going to say, I'm starting to think that we could benefit from a site walk.
Yeah.
Not discrediting what you have to say, just that at face value, clearly there might be something of the lay of the land that makes it specific and unique. That if you'd be open to a site walk, it's your right to have us hear this out tonight and make a ruling tonight. But it sometimes helps us out to understand pieces of property a lot better to do a site walk.
Sure.
Is that something you're open to?
That's fine with me.
Okay.
I don't mind doing that.
So I'll make a motion to do a site walk at 491 West Main Street in Tilton.
I'll second it. Brian.
Motion's been made and seconded for a site walk at 491 West Main Street. Pat, do we have to have a date for the site walk as part of that motion?
Mhm.
You say
You should.
Yeah, okay,
but
that's what I thought.
I mean, you keep,
All right. Are there particular days that work better for you?
If I know ahead of time, I can be flexible.
We've got to give at least a week, Pat, of notice.
mhm.
Does anyone else like either before the meeting on the 17th? Is that
Yeah, that works for me. Like
work
5
for
o'clock.
everybody? 5 o'clock on the 17th. Does that work?
Yeah.
Sure.
That'd be before our next zoning board meeting,
17th?
June 17th. Yep.
Yep.
Would you like an amended motion, Pat?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
At 5 p.m.
5 p.m. Yep.
Yep.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded for continuing zoning board case 25-04 to a site walk on June 17th at 5 p.m.
Should we amend it to then hear the case later, or is that implied?
I believe that would be implied because we're continuing it to 5 o'clock.
Perfect.
Those in favor? Vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
We still have one more agenda item.
They have
Oh,
to.
we gotta
yeah.
call Jim and
That's right.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
Chuck and
Have they been called yet?
I don't think so.
their numbers aren't on here, of course.
Great. Pat has it, right?
We should
Pat
have
must
called
have
them at the beginning of this case.
Oh,
Yeah, but they could have come.
Don't leave in case they don't come. I mean, I guess.
Right,
like-
you could,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you,
Oh, I'm pretty sure, yeah. Okay. I'd be surprised if Jim.
Cindy, do you happen to have Jim and Chuck's number? Okay, thank you.
I've got Jim's number.
We look identical on the screen, by the way. Two bald guys.
Oh yeah.
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 That's what I'm gonna start wearing my glasses more so people can differentiate.
I can wear a hat too.
Yeah, I bring one, but I'm like, it's not professional.
What time is it?
8:30. Long one. All right.
Yeah. We're just waiting to hear from Chuck and Jim about coming
We have
back
to call them and
for the vote.
Did you call them already? You want
Cindy,
me to?
if you could,
Cindy's-
that'd be great.
He won.
Great.
Yeah, or
I know.
she bought it off him.
Just take it. Yeah, to buy it buy the little lot.
Yes.
Why would they subdivide like that?
I'm guessing
Somebody
that
must have
whoever
had a
owned the
plan to
house
do.
Yeah.
didn't want to
Oh,
let
there
the
was a-
house go. Like the house must have been tied to that whole lot.
Yeah.
No. It's tax reasons. They put the rest in current use.
Yeah, but that's still the same lot. You don't have to subdivide the lot for that.
But people do though.
Like I have 13 acres, and
In current
it's
use.
one lot. 10 of it's in current use.
Oh, really? Okay.
3 of it's not.
Yeah.
Maybe it was.
So the property I just bought, they subdivided the house. I only bought the land. I didn't buy the house.
That's fine. Like
But-
keep the house and sell the land.
I think that's why they do it, right? Yeah.
Maybe they didn't have that road out.
But I think-
Sewage and frontage at the time.
It was an old farmhouse.
There's no farmhouse.
Yeah, and like. it
Oh,
was-
when they subdivided it.
when
Yeah,
they
it must have been
subdivided
before it was all
Yeah,
zoned.
because they wouldn't have let them subdivide.
Right.
That's the problem. We had someone come and wanted to put a building in and wash cars there and
And they wanted a variance from
Variance.
sewage.
from sewer.
That was a no. And then he sold it.
Then he sold it because he didn't
Yeah.
get this variance.
But you can put a composting toilet in.
Apparently.
Those can't be that much.
Cheaper than running sewer down from the high school.
Sounds like it
See
smells.
why you would do that though.
Well, probably like
Hey
10.
Chuck, this is Pat Constantino. I'm calling. I'm wondering if you're gonna
Is
chime in on the online or come down and vote for the organizational meeting. So give me a call back, 75711. Thanks.
I have a question. When there were the, I know she goes all the way around, but apparently they got two entrances.
It's all tied to that one lot.
Hey, where are you?
But I mean, what I couldn't understand is.
You wanna
she
get
said
online?
70
What do you wanna do?
It's like the moon. Driveway going up on the sides. Unless, of course, he hangs stuff off the side. Right. Yeah.
The link. Yep. All right. Okay, all right, bye. I was able to get in touch with Jim Copsey, but I was not able to get in touch with Chuck. So Jim is going to get online, so Juliet, thank you for your time, Juliet.
And did I spell your name right? Yes. Awesome. Is there cash in the middle?
What?
If you like it. Thank you.
It's Cindy has these fans on. It's not me. She wanted to know if you were expecting a heat wave with all the fans on.
Yes, I know where that is.
The what?
Your phone numbers. You just called them.
Oh,
We're in the old Sullivan's place.
Okay, yep. I know.
that's Jim's.
All right, you still.
520-9466.
Okay. And Chuck's?
387-1676. Okay.
The cow just told to come down to my yard for scoopings. I had green grass.
A little drink or something. We'll have a little beer or something.
Oh, yes, I forgot about those.
Oh, Dunkin' Donuts.
He'll have to help you because I wasn't on the board, but I can't.
Do you have minutes to approve?
Well, honestly, the only two people who are here for the minutes
No. Well, you can still approve them and
Well, I
Can we
was
approve
here in
without three
person.
votes?
No, I was here in person. I mean, I wasn't on the board, but I was in the audience.
I don't read them anymore.
I'll be right back. I'll be right back.
Well, we can ask Jim to do the formalities around.
Yeah.
Jim will put it. Oh, he is unbelievable. I don't even go.
Yes.
Oh, you know what? Yeah,
We have those
They're
and,
short.
yeah,
That's the only one we have.
yeah. So I would say they're all
I
right.
think it was about 10 minutes long.
You guys got your mics on?
Here we go.
We'll put our mics on.
Okay.
We'll do all the things. Okay. Is there a motion to accept the meeting minutes from April 15th of 2025?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes as written.
Motion's been made by Sandy,
I'll second it.
seconded by Brian. Any discussion on it?
No, looks right to me.
No? Are we comfortable doing a voice vote without a...
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. What's her name here?
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Those in favor of the minutes from April 15th of 2025? Vote aye.
Aye.
And one abstained. I was not there. The minutes are accepted. And we will
Okay.
still wait patiently for Chuck.
Perfect.
Jim.
Jim.
You said Jim was gonna get on?
Yeah.
Where is he?
Yeah. you probably-
This was all this? Yes, okay.
well, yep. Oh, you did?
Corrected ourselves, we all voted yes. Oh, one abstained.
I abstain.
Come on, Jim.
He's going online.
Yeah.
He's having an issue.
We'll give him until 8:45 and then phone call.
Hmm?
I'm just wondering if he's having computer problems. Like, I gotta start it up. Request jobs or something. You have an extra handbook, would you? No, no ZBA.
No,
No. Oh, let me get it. I'll show you what I'm talking about. See if we're talking about the same thing. With a microphone, right?
That's funny.
All right, let the record show that
is it
Jim Cropsey is on telephone.
Hi, Jim.
All right, is that Matt?
Yes.
Very good. Are we at the point of nominating for chairman?
We are just about to do this. Yes.
Very good.
So we just approved the minutes from last month. We just got through all the cases, and now we are at the point we are looking for a nomination for chairman and vice chairman.
Very good. Do we start with chairman?
I don't think you do. Sure.
May I make a motion to nominate Matt Gilman for chairman?
I'll second that motion.
Motion's been made and seconded by Sandy. Any discussion?
You want to do it again, Matt?
Sure.
Okay.
That was a question too, if he wanted to serve.
No, that's fine. I'm getting the swing of things. I got things to be better at, so I'm ready to do better.
We all do.
All right. Any other discussion?
Nope. Nope.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Okay.
The ayes have it.
The ayes have it. I'd like to make a motion to make Steve Huntz vice chair.
Seconded.
I'll second it.
Sorry.
Okay.
Motion's been made and seconded. Motion made by Brian, seconded by Sandy. Any discussion about that? Great. Seeing none. Everybody ready for the vote?
Yep.
Those in favor vote
Yes.
aye.
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 The ayes have it.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Matt.
Oh, we should leave him on.
Yeah, we're gonna. You want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting, Jim?
If there's no further business, I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
There is no further business. Motion's been made.
I'll second it.
Seconded by Brian. Those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned at 8:45.
There we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Jim.
Good night, Jim.
Steve Bunce, I went blank.
That's okay. That's okay.
I've been practicing it all day. I'm going.
Bam. Yep.